out there, everybody? What's going on? This is Miho with the Too Close to Call cast, joined as always with my co-host Pags. And Pags, man, it is lunchtime the day after free agency, and I think I have finally caught my breath from the chaos that was last night. Oh my goodness, man. I couldn't even scroll on the phone quick enough to see what the hell Woj was tweeting out there. And he didn't even wait till 6 o'clock until the tampering period. I poked in at like lunchtime and was like, what's going on? This isn't supposed to start until dinner. Oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed.
Dude, it was just like, here's something. Oh, wait, here's something else. Here's something else. And I'm like, well, is this shit happening at 6 o'clock? Or is it just like, whenever it happens, it happens? And I'm like, it was just absolute chaos, and I loved every second of it. And as a Sixers fan, you're kind of just sitting back and hearing all these rumors go about, and then boom, 6 o'clock hits. JJ Redick ends up New Orleans Pelican, gets paid for 2 years. So
I told you somebody was going to pay him, man. I know we wanted him on the bench for cheaper, but somebody was going to pay him to start.
He's too good of a player to...
I am surprised he picked New Orleans because it's going to be just him down there. I don't think the family's going to move from Brooklyn. That's why everybody was saying Knicks, Nets, Sixers, he'll take a discount. And my man was like, no, I went to Duke. I got an education. Pay me my money.
Good for JJ. I love JJ. And
I don't know if I can listen to his podcast anymore.
Yeah, that's out. We're out on that now.
We're out on the JJ Redick podcast. I listened to your Zach Lowe episode, but that's the last one I'll tune into.
Yeah, no more. Well, do we want to get into the main topic here of old J-Butt?
Oh, dude, we got a 4-course meal coming, and you just hit the appetizer with JJ, my man. Why don't you come in here with your reaction to the first entree, which actually was the Tobias Harris signing. That one popped out after JJ and before the others. So initial thoughts on 5 and 180. The max, Bags, the max, 5 and 190. So not a max contract. I mean, they got him for cheap apparently.
I had always been a Tobias guy. Like, we got to re-sign this guy. And then I think the playoffs made everybody kind of weary about it. But
yeah, he disappeared at times in the playoffs.
You got a tall stretch 4/3 guard there that can shoot the rock. And now that he's going to have an entire year with Joe and Ben, I don't think you could have gotten a better deal than getting Tobias in here for less than the max, but still paying him a decent amount of money. I am completely good with Tobias. I wanted to run him back another year.
All right, well, I will counterpoint you're not going to get a better deal with two options that I think the Sixers could have potentially pulled the trigger on. The first one is pretty much identical. Chris Middleton from the Bucks got 5 years, $178 million. So essentially the same contract. He's a little bit younger, and he's been an all-star. Now, I understand he wasn't leaving, he took it, so that one's not as feasible, but pretty much comparable. The one where the Twitter sphere was a little up in arms was the Malcolm Brogdon deal from the Bucks to, I believe it was the Pacers, at 4 years, 80-some million with a first-round pick. So the question becomes, Harris at 5 and 180 or Brogdon at 4 and 80 minus a first rounder?
Dude, I'm all on board with Tobias. Like I said, you can't replace experience with the players you're playing with. You jump Malcolm Brogdon in there. I don't know if Malcolm Brogdon provides the firepower that Tobias Harris provides for this team. And just with the experience and everything, I know I keep harping on that, but I think that played a big factor in this whole thing.
I agree with you, man. And then once the Harris signing was revealed, it was interesting to see the reaction, not only about the signing, but the correlation that had with our third course of today's podcast, and that is the Jimmy Butler sign-in trade, because right after the Harris deal, a few of the Sixers insiders on Comcast, as well as the NBA, pretty much said that they believe this leads to the fact that Butler is not returning, and everybody around here is going, what are you talking about? Run it back. We knew we were going to spend a boatload on both of them. So lo and behold, it was more of an either-or option, and they went with Tobias Harris and flipped Butler to Miami, where I guess Butler ultimately decided he wanted to play. So I'm glad they got something for him in the process. But what was your take there on the whole Harris-Butler correlation, if there was one, or if they were just independent of each other?
I think they were separate entities. I don't think one played off with the other. I think the Sixers wanted Jimmy Butler back, and they were going to pay him no matter what. But once they got Tobias, and it was clear, it had to be clear to them that Jimmy didn't want to come back.
The rumors were that both sides weren't interested in a reunion, and that's where I jumped in because you said you think the Sixers wanted them back. It's come out that may have not been the case. What were your thoughts when you heard that news filter out after the deal was done?
Well, my guess is that they tried to cover up some of the issues that came about with Jimmy throughout these last 6 months because he was still playing and we're riding with him and we're going for a championship. And I think the Sixers thought to themselves, you know what? I don't know if this guy's going to be worth the headache we're going to get for the next 5 years, because everywhere this guy goes, it seems like some type of issue comes out, whether big or small, whether you got the film session with Brett Brown or telling Brett Brown to call a better fucking play, stuff like that, man. I'm just like, you know what? Good riddance. Get him out of here, and let's build our team around somebody else that's not 31 years old.
It is interesting, man, because almost the two different seasons of the NBA we're finally starting to realize as Sixers fans who haven't been in the playoffs in 5 or 7 years, whatever the hell it's been. But the regular season is that just get your seeding, get to the postseason, and the postseason is a different animal. And postseason Jimmy, worth every penny. Regular season Jimmy, get out of here, bro. I don't feel like dealing with all your shit, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's where they just balance that it's a 6-month year, and for a month, yeah, it's perfect, which is why they took the gamble on it. And ultimately, getting Josh Richardson in return is an excellent return, in my opinion, because he's on a team-friendly contract, a younger guy. Yeah, he's not a superstar, but certainly somebody who can play in today's NBA. And to get a return and not just have Jimmy walk, I think is the best of a losing situation. I don't know what the word is.
That is a tough. I don't put it as a losing situation. Yeah, you lost Jimmy, but I don't think the Sixers, like you said, I don't think that was the route they were going to go. So when Josh Richardson came available, it was like, yeah, let's get that 6'6" shooting guard. He's got tons of potential, and he's lengthy. And man, dude, this defense all of a sudden is like, who's going to score on us in the playoffs?
That's the direction, as we mentioned via the draft, that we felt Elton Brand was going, and the moves here have continued that evolution as we get into our dessert course, which was the addition of Al Horford. So I got to give you a shout out here, Pags. I don't know if you're doing a little bit more research or you're actually working a little bit harder for the listeners out here and putting some time and energy into this podcast, but you've been getting a few more predictions right than you did early on here. So well done by you calling out that Mr. Horford may be an addition that the Sixers were looking at.
Your boy has a little uptick in his predictions, and it's coming to fruition right now, baby. Al Horford is going to be the perfect piece for this Sixers team. He's going to bring that leadership, that dog mentality that Jimmy Butler had, and the dude has done it for so many years. I mean, he's an all-star on 4 different teams. So I am so excited about having Al Horford for the Sixers. I know he's a little long in the tooth, but the way he plays his game, man, it bodes well for the Sixers.
He's going to help them just as much off the court as he is on the court, because when you lose J.J. Redick and replace him with Al Horford, like you mentioned, the statistic on Horford is he's been in the league for 12 years, and he's made the playoffs for 12 years. So the guy knows what it takes. He knows how to play into May and June, and that's going to continue to rub off on some of these other guys. And that was one concern where you're running out, Harris, Embiid, Simmons is, okay, well, who's going to be the guy when shit hits the fan that goes, guys, it's all right, relax, we've been here, let's do this, let's move forward. So with that being said, though, there were mixed reviews on Al Horford due to his price tag, and I want to get into a new feature or new segment that we have here on the Too Close to Call podcast, and that is, I recently set up a hotline for the listeners, you guys, to call in and give us your takes.
Now I'm on the hotline, I'm having
Phone sex with you all night. Dude, what? Oh my God, those lyrics after I just listened to them, unbelievable, right? It's either that or I know when that hotline bling. That can only mean one thing. Our hotline number for you guys who haven't seen it yet on social media is 484-238-0735. That's 484-238-0735. And what we're going to do here now is play a couple of voicemails that we got from you, the listener out there, with your take on what the hell the Sixers are doing and their recent moves in free agency. And then Tags and I will give our responses and see what you guys are thinking out there.
Too close to call. Let's get it. My name is Malcolm Weston, lifelong Philadelphia 76ers fan. I'm going to be honest. I feel like our free agency pickup of Al Horford and that sign and trade with Josh Richardson and Jimmy Butler, honestly, I don't think that's really what we wanted to do. I feel like we kind of not scrambled, but we wanted to see what Jimmy actually was going to do. We definitely overpaid for Tobias Harris. I don't think he deserves a max. He deserves big money, but definitely not a max. But it's the NBA. It is what it is. But, yeah, I think we kind of scrambled with the Al Horford thing. As soon as we saw Jimmy go, we saw that our pieces were falling apart. So we saw Al Horford out there, grabbed Al Horford. But at the end of the day, I think it will turn out to be solid. Al Horford will be back at his normal position in our starting lineup at the 4. It'll be good for Embiid because that'll keep Embiid on the post more instead of wanting to shoot threes all day, which I think he can shoot them, maybe 1 or 2, but sometimes he get carried away with like 3, 4, 5. Like, come on, man. You 7'2", the biggest thing in the league, you dominate down low, can't let nobody stop you. But like I said, it'll bring Al Horford back in his normal position at the 4. Leave Embiid on the post. And then when Embiid goes out, we still have Al Horford, an all-star, a top center in the league. He'll be at the 5 while Embiid getting his rest. And then when Embiid come back in, we can do our thing. But like I said, I think we kind of scrambled on the move. But at the end of the day, I think it was an okay move. We just need to get a few shooters, beef up our bench, get rid of T.J. McConnell. I like him, but time as we go. We need a new backup, but I think we'll have a pretty good year. You never know. We may make another move, but yeah, I saw your podcast on the Sixers Social. I wanted to chime in, give my opinion, and I'm a new fan. I'll be listening. Good luck with everything. Peace.
Thank you, Malcolm, for calling in, giving us your thoughts on the Sixers free agency. Couldn't understand or get your last name there, so sorry for that. We apologize. But again, appreciate the call in. Pags, to break down Malcolm's thoughts into pretty much 2 segments there. One was that he said not that we scrambled, but he feels like these moves were a little bit reactionary and, oh, crap, we lost Butler, now we better sign Horford. And my question to you is, how thought out or how far in advance do you think all parties involved knew that this would be the outcome?
Well, you'd hope that knowing your franchise, that your franchise has plan A, B, and C along the line. So if plan A doesn't go to plan, then yeah, you have another plan off of that. So I think the Sixers knew from the get-go that Jimmy wasn't coming back, and that shows that whole Al Horford signing, because there had been talks that Al Horford was getting talked about for a while now, and that's why I had said that I think the Sixers are going to end up getting him. So I think it was well planned out, and I think they knew from the get-go that Jimmy wasn't coming back.
I agree with you. I think it's at least been a couple of weeks now that they've been putting out feelers, which is why we've heard all the rumors about where Jimmy's going to end up, and not one of them was truly, looks like he's going to re-sign back in Philly for the max. That was pretty much everybody just saying, come back, please. But there weren't any real rumors that was going to be the case. But Malcolm also said, with all these moves made now, that he likes that Horford being the stretch 4 is going to keep Embiid's ass down on the block still. And your thoughts around the offensive fit between Horford and Embiid, since Horford's played center mostly the past few years?
Well, I think that's going to be nothing but good for Joe, because I agree with Malcolm in the fact that, Joe, get your ass down in the freaking paint. That's where you dominate. You could shoot up a couple, but I think Horford being on the outside there is going to give us that presence that we need, and vice versa. If Joe is up top, we still have someone that could go down low in Horford and get some buckets that way.
They still need to add one more backup big, in my opinion, just to kind of get the rotation a little bit deeper. I don't know if Jonah Bolden's going to be that guy or who's left on the market. Maybe bring Bobby back, Tobia and Bobby, bring them to run it back one more time. But I do like that mix of Horford and Embiid and keeping Embiid down low. So appreciate the call, Malcolm. Thanks again for the new listener. We appreciate it. Follow us on the social media. And next caller.
Neho, Pags, what's going on? It's Quill. Just giving you a call here, talk a little Sixers basketball after the flurry of moves yesterday. Early thoughts on everything is Al Horford paid a little bit too much money for my liking. 33 years old. I don't know if he's got that Boston Tom Brady effect going on, but I think he's got 1 or 2 good years left in him. So, with that, hopefully they put enough around these guys from a shooting perspective, because their defense is going to be stout. You got Smith, Scott already off the bench, add Thibault off the draft. Yeah, you already have a deeper bench than last year, so that's the positive, right? And we still have moves to make. So that's my quick takeaway on where they stand defensively. Offensively, they have to add still a backup scoring point guard of some sort, and possibly even a center backup for Embiid. Because I truly think with this team, Horford's going to be, a 20 to 25-minute guy, power forward for a year or two. I like the Tobias Harris signing. You got to keep him with Jimmy moving on. It stinks, but I think Harris is going to have an increased scoring role and get back to a little bit off, pick and roll action like what he did in LA with the Clippers. So I'm excited to see what he does from a scoring perspective this year. Overall, am I satisfied? I'm happy at the moment. But there's a lot of to be determined. I want to see what the rest of the moves that they make. And, exciting time in Philly sports, and I'm looking forward to this upcoming season. I guess my biggest question for you guys would be, what else do the Sixers need to do to put them over the top to compete with the likes of the Bucks? And I guess right now the Raptors and obviously the Celtics are still contenders with the Kemba Walker signing. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Quill, thanks so much for calling. Avid listener, avid follower. We appreciate it, my man. Pags, it looks like Quill's happy at the moment. Thinks we overpaid Horford just a touch. May have 1 to 2 extra years on there that he didn't care for. And thinks Tobias Harris, with Jimmy Butler moving on, is going to continue to evolve into that offensive threat that we have. But another gentleman here harping on that he still thinks we need another move or two. He specifically asked about guards, and Seth Curry came up. What are your thoughts around the finishing touches that the Sixers have to do yet here for the roster next year?
I think Mark made a good point in saying that this bench is already catastrophically better than what they ran out in the season last year. So that is a plus. I do think that we need somebody off the bench that can score 20 points when one of the starters isn't doing it, when Tobias is off for the day. So I'd be interested to see who they can get for cheap to come play a lesser role that we kind of wanted JJ to do at this team.
Yeah, so that's the problem, because it's come out now that the Sixers have right around $7 million, as well as some of the minimum exceptions to use, but not a lot of money. And somebody like Danny Green, who we floated around in the past, made $10 million last year, and I don't think he's taking a pay cut, so that's going to be a little bit too expensive for us.
Who do you think that would be there? Would Seth Curry be an option?
So based on the salaries of last year, they don't have many options, man. They got like 5 or 7 here. I'll read you a couple of names, and you can kind of give me your initial feedback and maybe who you would want out of all of them. But it starts with Seth Curry, who only made $2.79 last year, so even a raise for him may be still on that $7 million mark. But the other gentleman is Elfrid Payton, who made $3 million last year.
Oh, man. I mean, Seth Curry gives you that experience. He was on the Trailblazers when they made their little move into the conference finals in the West. So, yeah, he can probably come off, but he's not his brother, and I think that's what a lot of people expect from him. So if you're going to get him for cheap, yeah, I'd sign up for that.
The next two guys on the list are Trey Burke or Raymond Felton, who both made about $2 million and change last year.
Oh, you know I love myself some Raymond Felton, but I think our age with Al Horford being on the roster, I don't know if I could sign up for a Raymond Felton return to Philadelphia.
Raymond Felton, 35 years old, and there's two left, and your age concern will eliminate Jamal Crawford, who's 39 years old, and the last guy on here is our old friend Nick Stauskas, who made $500,000 last year.
I would rather have Raymond Felton or Jamal Crawford than Nick Stauskas.
That's what I mean, man. The market is thin, and it's kind of Seth Curry or Trey Burke, in my opinion. But if you're looking for a veteran presence to run that second unit, that Raymond Felton guy may not be a bad look, dude. That's where we're at.
Well, here's the thing. We're looking at somebody to play some solid minutes during the regular season, but once it gets to the crunch time of the playoffs, these guys probably aren't sniffing the court very much. So, hey, if Raymond Felton can help you from a leadership aspect or kind of help Ben Simmons mold into the player he needs to be, then, yeah, why not take a shot at Raymond Felton? But, dude, the whole thing about these signings and everything about the Sixers is all great, and Malcolm and Mark really brought in some good points there. Nobody's touching on the main factor of this team next year, and that is if Ben Simmons can't shoot and pull up and be that threat to take a jump shot, this team's not going to go anywhere.
Well, he hasn't proven that at all, so apparently don't even tune in next year because Pags on his hot streak says the Sixers are screwed.
It's going to be the same old bullshit. Ben's going to disappear in the playoffs because teams are just going to line up, not let him get to the rack, and he's going to refuse to shoot, and we're all just going to be like, why can't this guy take a jump shot? And everyone's going to be freaking losing their mind. So I hope I'm wrong, and I hope the dude has worked with his brother a lot this offseason and continues to work. So
yeah, it's okay, Pags. He's going to get together with Magic Johnson like you wanted him to.
Now that Magic doesn't have to worry about tampering.
Yeah, and apparently he's still meeting with Kawhi about the Lakers and shit. So I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, man, we'll see what happens. Nobody can fault the NBA for not being exciting in the offseason because they have gotten as close to what the NFL does because everybody was tuned in yesterday. It was crazy.
It was crazy, man. And we're going to continue to come to you guys with new content probably every week because, as we touched on here today, we don't think the Sixers are done. So, hey, we got a new ending here because leave us a voicemail, 484-238-0735. Give us your takes on the Sixers. And if you guys like the moves, dislike the moves, what's going to happen next year, and if you think Ben Simmons can actually knock down a jump shot. In the meantime, follow us on social media, as always, at Too Close to Call Cast, the number 2 both times. And we'd love to hear from you guys, get more of you on the show, interact a little bit more, and you guys can become part of that Too Close to Call family that's continuing to expand.
We need to come up with a little jingle to that phone number. See what letters it spells out.
Yeah, got to come up with something because that's what Google spit at me.
Oh, man, it's fun. And like we said, we could have 2 podcasts in 1 week with this episode because we don't know when the hell the news is going to drop. But when it drops, make sure you tune in to Too Close to Call.
Peace.